Welcome back to another episode of the Men on Form podcast. I am your host, Michael Hilton, and I am here with my partner in crime, coach in crime, the guru, the master, the sensei, Clive and Micheal. How you doing, my friend?
I'm well, my friend, but I am not your guru.
What's the rumour down your end, Clive? What have you been up to, my friend?
I have been, oh man, it was a good check-in. I have been just busy, man. I'm obviously half the week I am a stay-at-home dad and half the week I'm coaching. So, flip-flopping between those two things. So, yeah, you can either see me sort of, running a coaching workshop or in a baby class. It's one of those two things.
Well, it's what I say. I'm either changing nappies or I'm changing lives.
I like that, mate. I'll have that one off you.
Yeah, changing nappies and changing lives.
Yeah. I'm well. I mean, I'm really, you brought this topic to the table. I'm really interested. And you said, like I said, I'm not your guru. Have you seen that? Have you seen that show?
I've definitely seen that show. I've watched it 3 times, funny enough. So I'm Not Your Guru. I'm Not Your Guru is a documentary by Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins is probably the leading coach in the world. He's definitely the most famous. Okay?
Yeah, he's very, very good on marketing, isn't he? He's got himself out there. He's got a few followers.
Yes, a few followers, and he's probably the man that's kind of led the way for this kind of what we've done, really. You know, there's been people that have done coaching that before, but he's the one that's brought it to the forefront, I think. And, you know, to be fair, the guy gets a lot of bad publicity at time. I've actually experienced it myself. So the documentary is called Date with Destiny. If I'm correct, I think it's like a 5-6 day event.
It's on net. If guys want to check this out, it's on Netflix, isn't it?
I'm not. I've only seen it
once. It's called I'm Not Your Guru, but the event that's covered on the episode is Date with Destiny. Is it one of his immersive, 4, 5, 6 day events? Yeah, and you've been to that.
I've not been to that. No, I went to Unleash the Power Within, which was that was his 3-day event, 3 or 4 day event, back about 6.5 years ago that was. And it's funny because I've got a really funny story around that, right? Because I was going for a really strange time in my life then when I went to this fucking event. And it's when I look back on it now in hindsight, let me give you a little bit about Tony Robbins. The guy, yes, he is very good at marketing. Yes, he does kind of pitch for you to upgrade to his next programs and that. But the guy is larger than life, man. I got a high five from him. The guy is a giant, and he's got this energy. He has got this energy. It just draws you to him, right? And he is the real deal, man. I do believe he is the real deal, man. And he does do a lot to help people. He's not everyone's cup of tea, and it's not everything in a line with what I do, Clive. But I still appreciate what the guy does for people and the results he gets. That's, you know, sometimes you have to. Kind of, for me, there was a period where I went through that stage where I can't stand Tony Robbins, I can't stand that, but then you put that to the side and see what he's doing and the results he's producing, and I'm kind of like, actually, I've got a lot of admiration for this guy and what he's doing, man. So, yeah,
he's not someone I align with particularly, but I do have a lot of respect for his work. And I mean, the reason we're riffing on this is that this episode's about following. It's called Following Gurus. And the title of obviously that Netflix documentary is I Am Not Your Guru. I didn't get from that episode why he wasn't your guru. It was just what it was. And I think maybe he went for that title because he was trying to sort of deflect some sort of maybe bad press he'd had, or it obviously had experiences where people sort of idolized him to the point of it being very unhealthy. But I mean, interesting thing to look at the start of this conversation, because well, first of all, I have to ask you the question, mate. What power was unleashed at that motherfucker?
Oh, wow. Funny. So let me jump onto that. I want to answer this first, because that is very true what you said there. We're deflecting from him. There are people that are infatuated with him. He has an exit out the back of his castle that he has to leave because people queue up outside his front gates.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
He has people queue up at front gates. I was sitting next to a lady, and I got speaking to her at the event, and then I will tell you what was unleashed in me, or what I unleashed. I'm not talking about in the gents. So get your mind out the gutter there, Clive. Right?
Yeah, it went straight into the gutter, mate. Naturally, I was like, "Oh my word, you got a bit more than what you bargained for."
So I was sitting next to a lady, and I spoke to her, and this is again the downside, and we spoke about this about about the downside of getting hooked on personal development and constantly craving more and more and more. We spoke about this in a previous episode, and
yes.
I was sitting next to a lady, and I said to her, I was talking to her, and I said, she goes, "Oh, I love this stuff and all that." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I said, "Have you been to Tony Robbins before?" And she said, "Yes, I've been to this event before." I went, "Oh, wow. Have you been to other events?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." She said, "I've been to this event 12 times." Right? I was like, 12 fucking times. And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." She said, "I've come here to get my Tony fix." I was like, "Right, okay." I said, "So what's changed in your life from?" I know not a lot has changed. This is what she's saying to me. Not a lot has changed, and I'm actually struggling financially, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not surprised you're struggling financially. They're paying out to come to all these events, and they're not cheap. Like
They're not cheap, especially the Gold Circle.
No, they're £1,500, but
the remortgage to get in that thing."
But that's the thing. That could be the downside of it, is people go there to get their fix. Because look, when you're there, it's all high fives, music. It gets you in peak state. It doesn't replicate what's going on in the real world, right? But you can get yourself in that state and things. So there is some downsides and drawbacks. But let me share this story with you. So, and this is what really happened for me there. And it was powerful, Clive. So I've gone to this event at this particular time, about 6.5 years ago, 7 years ago. I had this burning desire to become a multi-millionaire, right? So my drive for success was on. And I got caught up in some credit card fraud, basically. Basically a guy that I came across that said to me, "Listen, if you give me your bank cards, I could do this, I could do that. I could give you this much money. We take a little bit out of it." Basically, I won't go into all the details of it, but basically, as a lead up to that event, 3 weeks leading up to that event, I was in the mix of I gave all my bank cards. I had about 5 or 6 different bank cards. I gave them to this guy, and he was kind of warming up my account, and I was on the verge of, basically, you go into a casino, they put the money in your account, you start drawing it out in the casino late at night, so the banks don't flag it up, blah 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 blah, and then you get a large sum of money. They do, okay. And
man,
I was on the verge of doing this. I was well in the mix of it. Like, my behaviour was being suspicious at the time. My wife, who's now, I was with her, she actually thought I was cheating on her, Clive. She thought I was cheating on her because I was always sneaking off on my phone and doing stuff, like having these sneaky conversations with a guy and sneaking off in the middle of the night just to go and warm up my account, like draw a little bit of money out, then put it back in, right? So basically, what it was I was going to get this amount of money. They were going to get that amount of money. And it was supposed to be on a Saturday night. And the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I was at Tony Robbins. And there was an exercise. Listen to this. There was an exercise on a Saturday. So this Saturday night, the guy was messaging me, "I'm going to pick you up at 12 o'clock at night. We're going to go to the casino and we're going to do this thing. Then we're going to go back to this place and you're going to get your share. We're going to get our share." I'm like, "Cool, excellent." And there was this fucking exercise, Clive, on the Saturday. Tony Robbins said, "What I want you to do now is turn around to someone that you're with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell them the deepest, darkest secret about yourself. Maybe that's something you're preparing to do. Maybe that's something." And I just sat there and I was like, "Holy fuck." So I'm at this event trying to become a better human being, while in the back of my mind, I'm like on the verge of doing this fucking dodgy deal.
Become a criminal. Yeah.
Yeah, about to become a criminal, right?
Yeah.
So I turned around to my friend and I said to him, "Okay." I said, "I'm going to tell you this. I've not told anyone. I'm on the verge of doing I'm on the verge of doing this thing with the credit cards, and I'm going to be doing it tonight." My friend, okay, he shared his thing with me, and he just said to me, "What are you going to do about that?" And I said, "I don't know." Anyway, as the event went on, I left the event. I messaged a guy and said, "Mate, I'm out. I'm not doing it." And I got loads of messages. "You've got to do it. You can't not pull out now, Anyway, I didn't do it. I ended up being fleeced for about $5.5 grand.
Wow.
They fleeced me for $5.5 grand. I took that on the chin, man. I totally accepted it. It was my responsibility, but the banks shut down all my bank accounts. I couldn't get bank account for a long time.
Right.
because obviously they knew what I was kind of up to, and I just kind of hid away from it really a little bit, man. But that's what happened for me there, Clive. That's what happened for me, and I was on the verge of going through with a criminal. I kind of justified it to myself. There was
Yep.
like, oh, they were telling me where the money come from. I was like, oh, that's okay. I don't mind doing that, So
No.
yeah, man.
No, I mean, I've gone off piece a bit with that story, but I really appreciate that sharing. And I mean, without going too far down the rabbit hole, I mean, that's the synchronicity there for you to be at that event and then have that exercise at that exact time. Something somewhere was looking out for you there. And obviously, I'm glad that obviously you saw your way out of it, and also it's accepting that loss as well. I mean, I bet that wasn't easy at the time, but I appreciate that sharing and the sort of learning from that. What was the final sort of bottom line takeaway from that whole story? Like, what have you learned from it? How does that shape or change the way you manage yourself now?
Everything looks fucking easy on the outside, and there are no quick shortcuts to success or money that I have ever come across or known that is not gonna have a direct impact with your integrity and your honesty, man. Like that for me, that's what come up for me from that, man. Like, this was a shortcut. Man, I was saying to my wife, I've got a feeling everything's going to change soon. So I was just going to lie to her and say to her, oh, all of a sudden I've got all these clients and I've got this money, and I was planning it, right? I was planning what I was going to do with it. It absolutely threw me, mate. I ain't going to lie to you. When it didn't happen and I didn't go through with it, it threw me because I'd already spent most of the money in my head. But I'd say the biggest takeaway, man, was like, for me was that, there aren't no shortcuts, man. There are no shortcuts, It's not about damaging your reputation, your own integrity yourself.
There you go.
There you go. There's a story, but
there's a story. Yeah. We digress, but I mean you were at the event. I mean, what? Let's just sort of switch back to the theme of the pod around following gurus. What is that? Well, I'll share a bit about my experience with this. I think in what happened to me, in particularly my mid-20s when I first came into personal development, I did. I picked up the ball and ran with it, and it served me really well to a point. But I think it did get quite unhealthy, and we've talked about that before, haven't we? By taking personal development and just constantly being on it, it can be unhealthy because there's seasons for certain things. That's what I've recognised, sort of, or my experience has been like there's a time for personal development and particularly coaching and change, transformation, and there's a time for counselling and there's a time for cocktails and the beach. And if you're in one of those areas too much, if you're constantly either processing the past, working in the future, or drinking cocktails at the beach, that's going to catch up with you. But in the personal development kind of addiction, I suppose you'd call it, there were a few guys who came on my radar who maybe I did sort of embody. And one of them was actually a guy. Have you heard of the show London Real?
Yeah. What's his name?
Brian Rose.
Brian Rose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of respect for him just in terms, a bit like I have for Tony Robbins. He's not quite my cup of tea, but I respect the guy in terms of what he's done and what he's created. And the people he's had on that show, if anyone, if you're interested in personal development and hearing people's stories, get some cracking guests on that show, particularly around sports as well. He's had a lot of boxers on there, which I quite liked hearing about. And so I started listening to his podcast, and then and then he's got this like London Real Academy thing, this online academy thing. It's a bit like a sort of like a Facebook, but for London Real. And I sort of ended up on there. And then he had, and then I went to the studio in uptown in Shoreditch. He had these like Friday events, and people get up and share their stuff. And I just went with this, and I think that I just kept going with it. I was on the buzz, I was there and was meeting all these people, and I was in this like online community thing. And then I decided I was going to run a London Real event, and I ran this trip to a climbing wall. And I bought a London Real T-shirt. I was really part of this tribe, and I wasn't saying I maybe like following the guru like Brian Rose per se, but I was definitely following his tribe. And then something happened to me. I was with my own coach, and suddenly I just felt really out of alignment. And I recognised that I'd gone along with this kind of, gone along with the party, I suppose, gone along with the buzz, and suddenly when I actually took a step back, realised that it wasn't quite my tribe. It wasn't actually for me at all. And that evening, I left the online community, and I still listen to London Real from time to time. I listen to his interviews, but I don't really engage with any of the sort of services. And I'd sort of, I guess I did follow, maybe not followed the guru, but I followed the tribe, and then and got caught up in the hype. And I think that my learning from that was that was okay for some people, but it wasn't for me. And I think since then, and I've seeing some of the Tony Robbins stuff, I think, yeah, maybe there is a time and a place for that, but yeah, it can get unhealthy, and it did for me. I put a lot of energy into this London Real thing, and sort of following everything, and on this thing, and messaging people, and sort of, we're all London Reelers and all this, and it's like, actually, this isn't quite for me. And I think my takeaway from that was that if I would have checked myself first and said, look, is this tribe approach really in alignment with who I am and where I want to go, then I could have saved myself a lot of wasted time and energy. That's not to say that I won't go along with the buzz and the hype if it's the right tribe for me and the right time, but I went with this thing without really thinking about where I was going with it. I just got caught up in it all.
Yeah, totally.
And spent a lot of money, a bit of money and a lot of time, just sort of, yeah. But I learned that was my experience from sort of following gurus. And I think, at least in my opinion, we have to just be careful when we're, because also we're buying into what they're presenting outward facing. We've got no idea about what is going on behind closed doors with this people. And we've all seen, in particularly the media, around, people that are put up as sort of, these sort of like people to follow and idolize, and then they fall from grace when the shadow part of them comes out into the open, and it actually turns out they've been doing some pretty awful things. And that's not to say everyone's doing that, but there's, they're not you. That person isn't me. They've had a very different experience, and what's right for them isn't necessarily right for me. So I think that's quite clear, but that's kind of where I'm at with it, really. Because there's a lot to learn from paying attention to so-called gurus, and there's some good wisdom, but I can sort of now sort of take what serves me and sort of leave the rest a lot more. It's taken quite a lot of kind of maybe going down some rabbit holes before I've got there with this. Yeah,
I think that's like, everyone's got something to say that you can learn from, right? There's always something to learn from people. But the idea is and this is what kind of brought up this topic this morning. Like I say, the story I just shared kind of digressed a bit, because that was the good side of going to this event.
Yeah,
right. That was the really good side of following Tony Robbins. The unhealthy side of it become where I was spending hours and hours and hours listening to Tony Robbins and thinking of how I could get money to go and do all of his courses, right? So and then the drive to go and do all his courses actually become before other things that were important in my life. Do you know what I mean? I need to get $5,000 to go and do this course, because and then, well, yeah, but I thought we're saving for a mortgage. Oh yeah, but I could save for that later. This is more important. And to some degrees, yeah, you could say that, investing in yourself, but there becomes an unhealthy kind of there definitely become an unhealthy thing for me around my fascination with Tony Robbins. It's all caught up in the way I felt when I was there, and there were some good parts, and also there's the not so good parts, man. And I think this is a constant journey, and it's like listening to people. And I'm a massive believer of investing in coaches, Clive. We both do. I think
we do.
Massive. You want to get somewhere, you want to get there quicker. Invest in a coach, be around people, like-minded people. Find someone that's got the life that you want, and pay them. If they've turned their life around, pay them and learn what they've done. That's how I approach it now, Clive. And that's kind of what stopped me from getting wrapped up and caught up in all this other noise from people. It's just kind of look at them and I'm like, do they have something I want? Do they live the life that I want? Have they even got a family? Are they doing this with a family? Are they spending time with their family? Yeah, they are. Okay, I want a piece of that. What are they doing? And that's currently what I'm going through at the moment with with my coach, right?
Yep.
He lives the life that I want. He's got the business kind of that I want, and I'm learning from him. And he's got a family, and he's got a good balance there. Do you know? So,
Yeah.
but then there's the other side.
But then he isn't you.
No,
Still.
but he's not me. He's not me. And the key to this is don't get lost in losing yourself in other people, because you know, like, you can't become that person, right? You've got to be your person. But what you can learn from them is how they've got to that point in their life, and you can take bits from it.
Yeah, you do you.
Yeah, you do you. I like doing me. I'm good at doing me.
I've done me a lot.
Yeah, I always leave that situation satisfied.
Yeah, I think you're right, because there's again me saying you do you. It's like, do you, but then it doesn't mean you just like don't pay any attention to what other people are doing, because what if you can learn from their mistakes, it might stop you making the same mistakes. And but I think there's that when it becomes sort of being a follower, you can be a fan of someone, but to be sort of following them. I mean,
it's just like a
that lady was following Robbins around,
that was
fortunes, going to his events. That is for me, that's an unhealthy sort of guru following. And also like this idea, like, okay, if someone's like a guru in a particular area, it's likely, like, we can tell, like, Tony Robbins has invested a massive amount of time in personal development training and in business training. I mean, that guy knows his onions, right? But there's other areas of his life that he's no doubt potentially flawed. And you know, like, so he might have a couple of the pieces of the jigsaw for you, but you know, there's other pieces that won't be there. So I mean, maybe if you're gonna not follow gurus, like, follow quite a few different ones at different times, and kind of, like you say, like, just take what serves and sort of drops the rest. But and then do you as well a bit. So I mean, anything sort of like, so any like sort of now down takeaways for guys, if what are the warning signs, mate, if in the past, for me, I think it's, for me, it was just that the one that just the time and the money, I was with a bit of money and a lot of time I was spending on this thing, thinking I'd seen the light. I think that was it. It's like, I've seen the light, you know. I just sort of become a London reeler, do all this stuff, and I'll have it all, you know. I have my castle in Scotland, and you know, cars, and an incredibly successful coaching business, and time for myself, and you know, time for my family, and all. It's just I think I sort of bought into a bit of that, but
I would say that the downfall is like the post that I read this morning that what I said kind of talked about before we jumped on air, was like, and it was this post, and it said, like, there comes a point when you've got to stop reading, you've got to stop listening. Okay, let me put this into context a little bit more. You know, there's a time when you've got to cut back on the reading. You've got to cut back on the watching all the videos. You've got to cut back on all the motivation. You've got to cut back on all that stuff. And you've got to start applying it. And I think this is the problem now, is if you're caught up, like this woman going to Tony Robbins, right? She was going to Tony Robbins. And I said to her, like, you know, how has your life changed? It's not really. That tells me that that's not a problem with Tony Robbins. That tells me that this woman's got a fascination, and she's coming here hoping for some kind of miracle to happen to her, right? And I think that's where it becomes the problem, where you're spending money jumping from one guru to the next. And look, I've got my hand up here. I've been guilty of that.
Yeah, me
jumping
too.
From one to the next, from one to the next, but not actually applying the lessons that were taught to me or shown to me, you know, of what to do, not applying it. And I think that is the downfall. That's the pit. Not saying that I'm a massive advocate of masterminds, getting around groups, getting around people. But if your life isn't changing and you're not using the stuff, then that's when it could potentially become harmful to you. That's when it can become harmful, because you'll just constantly crave more knowledge. You'll crave more knowledge and not put it into the application and apply it, man.
And that's where a coach comes in, because a coach will hold you accountable to action around these particular things.
Well,
and so
London Real for you, Clive, did you actually have a coach in a London Real, or was you just this community and you just...
I mean, there was, like, you know, it was what I would call soft coaching, I suppose. They'd have, you know, like weekly tasks and these sort of like 4 pillars and bits. I can't quite remember all all the details at the moment. But yeah, there was sort of themes and upgrading your life. It was just, yeah, it was soft coaching. But the best coaching is one-to-one or in groups with someone, yeah, a trained coach holding you accountable, yeah, doing the work and holding you accountable. And I've done that with, and we've talked about gurus as in people, but I've done it with books, where I've sort of just gone from one personal development book to the next. And some of these I've done it. I've read about 20 of these books where they've got exercises in them at the end of every chapter. I'd never do the exercise. I'd read the chapter. That was nice. Read the next one, get to the end of it. Right. That's that 5 things. And then just like toss it to one side and go again.
You just require more knowledge then. Nothing actually changes, right?
Yeah.
You just require more knowledge.
And I know, right? I mean, I've read hundreds of personal development books. I'm sure you have too, Michael. Like, if I just took, when I just take the 7 Habits of Effective People by Stephen Covey and I work that system, that is all I need. With the 8th habit, that is all I don't need anything else. I mean, there are other bits and pieces, but like I don't need another 5 things, 10 things, 15. It's just all. It's not the action. Yeah, like you say, it's not getting to those actions. So yeah, there's a balance with this. There's a balance.
I become what it's quite a buzzword now, and again I do use it, but I become an insight junkie. So people say, "Oh, do you know when you're coaching someone or you're talking or something like that, and someone goes, oh, like has that big deep breath, and like they have that insight. Oh wow, I see something different about my life now. I become addicted to that, but that wasn't ever followed up by action, and that was the problem. And it's nice to see something different, but if it's not followed up by instant action, then nothing really changes. And that's the key to anything that you do is like, what changes are you actually implementing in your life? What is actually changing in your life? If nothing's changing, again, it just becomes knowledge,
Yeah, and then also, I mean, in terms of our brain capacity, we've only got a limited amount of short-term brain capacity, and then the hard drive at the back, that's only got a certain amount of stuff it can hold as well. So, I mean, this stuff, for me at least anyway, just sort of bleeds out of me. And I just can't remember. I mean, there's so many of them books, I can't even remember any of them. No. I've read them, I can't remember a thing. Waste of time.
Have you gone through this stage, Clive, where you've read all these books, you've got all this knowledge, and you're spouting all this knowledge to people, right? You're spouting all the knowledge to people, but you ain't fucking applying it in your own life.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've done that.
That's what I was 5.5 years ago, man. Yeah.
I was there about 5-7 years ago, like preaching all this other stuff and then not doing it myself.
Yeah.
It's that, doing this, stretching that, and then, just go home and have a pot noodle and a wank. Like,
I don't like pot noodles, so it's just a wank for me.
It's just a wank. All right. Have a curly whirly. But yeah, I mean, it's, I've been there as well. I've been, I'd preach, maybe sort of be sharing someone else's stuff, and then I'll be on to the next thing and then sharing that. And, so then you become, like a, what's it called? Like a sort of
preacher. Become a preacher.
Just preaching on this other stuff. And some of it I have applied myself, and I do preach some stuff that has worked for me in terms of stuff that I'll share that I have applied and has worked. But that's different from just sort of like, just sharing the latest sort of buzz from the guru I'm following at that point in time. So yeah, cool. All right.
So, any final thoughts, my friend, on this? Anything that would give our listeners a little bit of an insight, that could help them with this. I
think perfection is a myth. I still will sometimes, sort of get maybe go down a bit of a wormhole with some of this stuff, rabbit hole. But I think it's just having that point just to check in and like, what am I learning from this and what can I apply it and dump the rest. And then, take it to your coach, take it to your mastermind group, take it to your mentor and work with it. And the more I get into that habit, and I have been developing it in current years, the more I'm getting from the so-called gurus, because I'm taking what serves me personally as an individual and applying it. And integrating it, I'm putting it into my armory. So that's what I would say. Maybe invitation to have a little health check on where you're at. Like, Just take maybe 5-10 minutes. What you're reading, what you're learning at the moment, and what you're going to act on and what you're going to dump. So something like that as an exercise, I think, is a good place to start.
Yeah, trimming the fat, man. Like I said to the guys on my group, it's not always about learning new stuff. Most of the time, I'd probably say large amounts of the time, it's about unlearning all the shit that you've learned. It's not about always learning new stuff. It's about unlearning all these beliefs and stories and this shit that doesn't work in your life. Unlearning that, getting back to basics. There's a lot
exactly. The fundamentals stand true, and I think that's the thing with a lot of the personal development books. But even some of the new stuff, it's all old. A lot of it's just old news, sort of regurgitated in a new 5-step form. It's the fundamentals are the same in terms of setting goals, being proactive, having some accountability, having someone outside you who can pick up your blind spots. Having a good balance between, health, career, relationships, time for yourself, all that. And it doesn't change. So we haven't changed much in the last 200,000 years, us humans. So
psychologically, we haven't. No.
It's not going to change tomorrow. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good man. Good last thoughts.
Nice one, buddy. Yeah. Yes.
So go on, man. Go on. I'll let you finish at this, man. You're good at this.
I'll finish it. I was just saying, have you got anything going on your end? In terms of where people can find you if they want to sort of dive into your work and what you're up to.
Just usual place, man. They can email me at michael@michaelhilton.com. Micheal. I have my 5-day free challenges for guys. If you're interested in that, you come in and kind of like what we've been talking about here, it's a five fundamental free training, and it's just some basic stuff to get you moving forward. There's some of the guys that have been through that currently, one guy that's been in a job since he left school, the same job, has actually started taking action now. Just been on this 5-day thing, 5-day free thing with me to actually start going self-employed and having more time with his family. Man, I've got to be honest with you, Clive, I was actually even shocked by the results that some of these guys were getting in there in just as short as 5 days, right? So some of them just taking action, but, come, if you're interested in that, hit me up, man, and, I'd love to have you in there. About yourself, Clive?
Cool, buddy. Yeah, everything I'm doing is over at www.mensactionproject.com. You can contact me through the website, and I'm leading with a complimentary 45-minute coaching taster session. So if you're interested in some coaching, some one-to-one coaching support, you can actually go on. You can actually book that session with me through the website, and in that we'll get to hear about sort of what you might want to work on in the coaching, and you get to have a coaching experience. So you'll get some actual live coaching in that call. So all the information about that's on my website, www.mensactionproject.com. The map.
Nice, my friend. Good.
Beautiful. All right, buddy. There's only one more thing to say at the end of the episode, and that is, guys, if you are off form,
get back on form.
And if you're on form,
stay on form.
Do and be well all.
Buongiorno.
If you enjoyed the show, we invite you to leave a positive review on the platform you're listening on. If you'd like to get in contact with us regarding anything that came up in the episode, you can email us directly at menonform@gmail.com.